God bless good people. Today we're just going to be doing a talk on entheogens and onogens, the medicines that we'll call isbili. So I'm just waiting for Brother Lita to join in on the good stuff. God bless. Yeah, there's Mkhulu Lita. Let's see. Ah, nice. There he is. Amazing.
Hey, Brother Zola.
Hey, leader. How you doing?
Well, leader, how you doing, dog?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to finally be doing a live with you again.
Fantastic to that.
Oh man, Mama T's around as well. So how's your week been going, brother?
No, everything's going okay so far. Smooth, can't complain. Got work to do. Got to prepare for the workshop that I'm doing tomorrow on plant medicine with return
Nice.
to Canada. But like, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
That's cool, brother. Anyway, so we're gonna have a chat today around entheogens. I have no idea what that means. You have all these weird, strange names that I've never heard. So perhaps simplify it for normal people like myself. What the heck does that mean, bro?
So entheogens, just give a simple understanding of what an entheogen. It's a plant which is a teacher, or a plant which is a master, let's rather say, and has the capacity, to bring you into yourself, and unpack yourself to yourself. It has the capacities to put you in a semi-like trance or a trance sometimes, where you go and navigate the depths of your spirit, the depths of your soul, the inner workings that are there. So these are plant teachers. Why are they plant teachers? Because everything in nature is alive. So even the plants are alive, and the plants have their own specific consciousness, and they are here to direct us back to ourselves, here to direct us back to living in alignment with nature. So these are plants are called entheogens, in the Latin terminology. Mama T wants to be part of the video. Let's go in.
Okay, Mama T's joining us.
Mama T's joining us. So entheogens are very important. These are medicines that were used specifically for facilitating rites of passages, especially the rites of passages that speak to adulthood. There's rites of passages that speak to childhood where you wouldn't be using entheogens, you'd be using onogens. Onogens are medicines that are like dream medicines, or ubula, as we'd call it. And those type of medicines are far more subtle, but are very detoxing. Both entheogens, both onogens and ubulas are very detoxing medicines. But the other one is much more gentle. It doesn't go and put you in like this hard trance and everything. It just keeps you here and starts to heal the different parts of your nervous system, endocrine system, your brain, your blood system, your lymph system. Just gives you an overall cleansing of the body. And this is the whole thing about why we use onogens and entheogens.
So tell us a bit about your journey with entheogens. Well, actually, start off with onogens. To how did you make the jump from onogens? Because obviously that's always a good access point to start, right? And then you move.
Yeah, the best place to start is there at Ubula, especially if you're on like I say, you're doing a rite of passage. You see, in times of antiquity, in ancient Africa, every family had their Ubula, their onogen, and their entheogen, which would be something that we use to do isbili, right? So every family had their specific one that they used. Ematoseni, Iyazalasekaya.
Yeah.
Has its own specific herbs that it uses. And these medicines, like I said, we'd have them for the purpose of connecting. So my journey, my experience of them before I became a traditional healer was obviously through the advent of traditions being performed, rites of passages being performed in my life. you know. But then when you go into a journey to become a traditional healer, this is when we start bringing in the entheogens and honorigens. But we start with the honorigens. So when I went to go and do my journey, my dwaso, you know, it's go in, you know, my teacher, my Kobela, you know, she prepared for me entheogens. But she didn't just like bam, bam, all this mix. No, she was like, we're gonna go one at a time.
Yeah.
One, adding one more and one more, because she wanted me to learn obviously the different types of honorigens, the ubulaus that are out there, and how
Yeah.
actually impact the human being, you know, and what it is that they're actually doing, you know. And then I started working with those medicines, you know, and then I started noticing the differences. Skin becomes good, energy returns back to the body, the brain functions properly, you know. But then also the reality that you start going into your dream space. In your dream space, you start transforming the dream space, that you start having stronger, clearer dreams and visitations from your ancestors, you know, visitations from the past, visitations from the future, visitations in the present, you know, and then it starts to unpack to yourself, you know. So I found that this was a very interesting path. My journey with entheogens, though, how I even got into all of this life of being a traditional healer started with entheogens.
I'll
Specifically,
start with
one
entheogens.
started with entheogens. About 10 years ago, I'd gone for an ayahuasca ceremony, you know, and my teacher, that person that took me for that ceremony was my first teacher. You know, I've had many teachers. That was my first teacher. You know, that and he was an alchemist, you know, and a practitioner, a herbal practitioner, a herbalist in a natural path. You know, and he took me in, we did a ceremony, and that's where I got in. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but when I got in, you know, I got taken to the other side. And then I got taken through my traumas in life that I had been living with. And after I dealt with some of those, then they came through and they started telling me that, no, you are here to be doing this type of work. And don't worry, we're going to oversee it for them. Don't even rush. We're going to take you part by part by part by part. You just need to like focus on school and all of that for now, you
Yeah.
know. But just know this is where you're going to be. This is where you're called to come and do your work. I was like, hi, baby. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's you know, so I was like, okay, cool. Let's go with that. Let's see where it's going, how it's unfolding. You know, and yeah, after that, you know, a few months later, I took apprenticeship under the man. And yeah, he helped me work with the medicine. From the beginning, he trusted me to be able to hold my own ceremony. So he'd give me the medicine and I'd be holding ceremony with myself, sometimes with a friend or two. You know, but it was like, yeah, very interesting. You know, and then eventually I went through other processes, meditation, breath works, yoga, all sorts of other things that I've done, you know, until I eventually started my Dwaso, you know, in our traditional system, you know, and that's where I got to start working with the honorigens. But then after a year of working with honorigens, the ancestors now wanted me to work very much with the entheogens. I don't
Yeah.
even know how many times I've done this really upper boom, you know, the amount of times I've done it. I can't tell you. I just can't tell you anymore. You know,
Yeah.
how many ceremonies have I held for people? I can't tell you anymore. I lost track a long time ago. I just not done a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot for myself, a lot for others. You know, and it's safe. You know, I've been in ceremonies, you know, where there've been pregnant women with their babies in their bellies. You know, I've been in ceremonies where there's small children partaking in the ceremonies. I've been in ceremonies where there's old, sickly people partaking. So anyone in the middle, you know, between young and old, I safe. There's no, you have to, no. It's about intention because these medicines work with your intention. They work with your heart and then reveal to you what is in your heart, you know, and what it is that we hold in there and what it is that we need to share. You know, but this goes back to this issue, you know, we've been talking about this. There is an issue that there's an abuse of entheogens and honorigens, you know,
Mm.
where people want to use these medicines because they want to go and see. not understanding that this is not, I just want to go and see. Because once you take the medicine, you're interceding between worlds. You're going to be experiencing this world and all the other worlds that you are part of and that your life is tied to.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that space also, it's a space where you're dealing with your trauma. So things come up, things that we're running away from, things that we're suppressing, things that we don't want to look at, things that we want to act on like as if they're not there. When they're actually there, they start to come up. But then now the person's in, they didn't know they were going to be going to those spaces. They just thought it was maybe going to be a trip and it was going to be fantastic and it was going to be nice. Meanwhile, no. It's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
Now it's actually going to be. Mm-hmm.
Here's the question. I mean, I like what you said around origins, around each family has got their own specific ubulao. So how does one go about finding that out? I mean, how did you find yours out per se? Because I mean, I know that there's so much that's been lost, unfortunately.
The nice thing is to always go and start with your family. And you want to start speaking to the ones that are very traditional. Leave the ones that don't do the Christian. They're like on that Christian path. They're like, no, I don't know. They don't know. Leave them alone. Go speak to the ones that know. And that's the thing. You must always go to your family in the rural areas if you can find. If you have family in the rural areas that you know of, speak to your elders. Because they grew, especially your grandparents and your uncles and aunts. Speak to your elders. Go speak to them. Amongst the whole group, there's someone that will know that, no, in this home, we use this. Now, you must remember there's the herbs on your mother's side and there'll be herbs on your father's side. You are both, so your herb set is both. It's not just your father's side, so both sides have their medicines. As people who are traditional healers, especially us who are on the path of being herbalists, we are fortunate enough that our ancestors come and show us that, hey, it's like this. This is all, look at it. Yeah, this is how it is. Look at that. The flower's like this, the leaf is like this. So we're fortunate enough to be shown that there's the medicine. You can find it in this forest. You can find it on that mountain. You can find it by this river. They show us in the variety of ways that they want to show us. So like, that's where I'd say first to start when you want to know what is the medicine of our home. Speak to your elders. And they'll know. Now, like I say, we've got an abuse today, and the abuse is of people who don't know how these medicines work, have tried the medicines, and now they want to practice as if they know what they're doing. Meanwhile, they're harming people. They're doing more harm than they are doing good. And it's dangerous because you're putting a person to a state where they're invoking, where you're helping them invoke their inner forces, their natural forces. And if you don't know how to do prior, during, and post giving people these medicines, you're going to put this person in a situation where now they have to deal with things that they didn't think they have to deal with, and now there's no room to escape. It's here now.
Yeah.
And that can be very traumatizing for people, especially if they haven't developed the skill sets to deal with their trauma, the skill sets to forgive, a simple thing like to forgive, and forgiveness is a process, So, what I see, Mama T is asking, what should people do in the case where they don't know their medicine? Well, it's simply put, there's medicines that are ubulawers, which can be used universally. It doesn't matter if you don't know your family. There's medicines, ubulawers that can be used universally. There can be medicines that are used, for example, as we spoke about another universe, but there are those that are used by, let's say, the Zulus. There's those that are used by Sutus. There's those that are used by Tswanas. There's those that are used by Bushmen. There are those that are used by Amakosa. There's those that are used by Mandebele. So there's also always the cultural groups, medicines. And you need to speak to people who are knowledgeable of your in your culture and tradition, or someone that's knowledgeable about the medicine in general as a whole.
Yeah.
So that they can administer the correct medicines to you, and that you can also administer the correct medicines to your children. because like I say, we use the origins. When a child is born, we have to wash the child with those origins. When the child has to now go through their first cycle of consciousness, and we do what is in labor for them. We wash them and prepare a mix with the origins, the ula. When you're going to the mountains, you must be prepared there. You must be washed with it when you're coming back. And long time ago, when we'd go to, like I said, especially in the Xhosa tradition, when we'd go to the mountains, it's not done
Yeah.
anymore. We would. So there's a medicine in Xhosa that we use, the leaves we use as a bandage, on the wound, on the incision of being circumcised. But the bulb, the scales would be prepared into a tea, which is very psychoactive. That is used to track through time and connect you with the ancestors, the elders, because they are the ones that are fit to guide you through life, because they have gone through life, and have come to the end of it. So there's a variety, of different plants that we use at different times for different reasons. When, for example, that song, Amere Makeba, you know that song?
Yeah.
And she goes to and says, don't be guess, I go, it's this. So you can hear talking about, when it's time for the time in her life for her to go and get married. It's a time of her life where she now must court, or be courtable. We would wash her with a medicine called uvuma. Yeah, now uvuma, like I said, it heals you inside. It cleanses your blood. It fixes the brain. They call it synaptoleptic, but it like heals. It like detoxes. It's very good medicine for detoxing and blood cleansing. And when you use it, obviously, you start looking bright and shiny and beautiful and like, and this is the thing. Many of our medicines, our origins, are captured in songs. The knowledge of it is captured in the song.
Yes.
So this is the thing about it. It's not just, they weren't just used for traditional healers to go into their journey. These medicines were used for multiple reasons because they have multiple actions. Like I've said, from detoxing actions to connecting actions, to cleansing actions, to protecting the space actions. Some of these medicines are used as medicines to ward off negative energies. Just like how we can burn sage and pepper and lavender and Palo Santo and frankincense and myrrh. We can burn all these plants. There's also other plants that we can burn, such as ikatas, which is also a type of love, And you can also use it to like sprinkle around your yard, keep the space clean, keep the nasty away, So they have multiple uses, but it's all about your intention. What are you using it for, and what do you do with it?
Here's the question.
Yeah.
I like Mama T's question around, if you don't know, can you give some examples? You mentioned that there's different cultures have different types. What is the Xhosa one? What is the Sotho one? What is this one? Just so perhaps people can sort of have an understanding on what exactly it is for those types of people. Yeah.
So, for example, we will use in the Xhosa tradition, unozitholana. Generally you'll find amongst the Xhosas, unozitholana is used. Notshani bezo. You find those are like the basic. Many families use unozitholana, notshani bezo. And then you find the eBasuthu, they have uphopoma wabesuthu. Popoma wabesuthu, which is a similar plant to unozitholana. It's exactly the same plant, but they're gonna call it something else. Then you get to Natal, then they're gonna say popoma, Now you'll see, I've talked about Zulu, I've talked about Zulu. All right, then you also have, for example, Let me just look at a basic one. Basic one. I don't want to just be throwing out things that I'm not supposed to be throwing out. So, for example, uhlungu, which you'll find is used by the Zulus a lot, and you find herb like magugu, is also used by the Zulus. But you also find it's used by the Zulus, also find it's used by the Xhosas, each with its own name. And I'm just talking about those that are very general, that people should know. It's not a thing where we shouldn't be able to know this. Dandelion. Let's talk about dandelion. There is another one. That's an ubulau that's used around. Another one that we all know. Everyone should know it. Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha ubulau. It's a type of ubulau, uvimba, as we call it. It has many other names in different cultures. But these are like the general ones that everyone should know, that we should know. They're safe to use, they're simple to use, and I'll say those are the few things that a person could use. But like I'd always say, when you're using these medicines, don't do it on your own. Have a reason why you're doing them. Have guidance around them. Because like I say, they can be very evocative. And bring up situations in your waking reality that you have to start dealing with. So if you're running away from dealing with your family, like let's say you're running away of dealing with the issue that you don't have a voice, you're always afraid to use your voice in your family. Well, then guess what? When you start taking this type of medicine, that's going to come up. And you're going to be caught in a situation where you have to now use your voice and liberate yourself. So that's why I say, you want to take these medicines with guidance. You want to take them with guidance. You don't just want to throw yourself, go gung ho, want to experiment, unless you know that you've got the skills, you've developed the capacity to deal with your traumas and everything, and you've got the correct mindset for that. And go gung ho, go in gung ho. But if you know that I don't know what I'm doing, go seek help first before you start mixing, before you start using these different medicines. We must understand, like I said, they're medicines, so they have an interaction with your body. So not only is that, but there is an interaction, so you will be experiencing detox symptoms at the same time. So it's like you have to be like very clear what you want to do and why you're doing what you're doing.
So, what are the different types of entheogens that exist? I mean, are they?
So there's mushrooms, like we spoke about. There's the immorta, there's the ayahuasca, there's the San Pedro, there's the peyote. There's moonflower seeds, there's the churas. There's morning glories, devil's trumpet, which is like a flower, big orange flower, like a trumpet. They call it the devil's trumpet. Now, the thing amongst these medicines, some are deliriants, meaning they're going to take you into the hell realms first. So you go and deal with your biggest fears first amongst these entheogens. Those that are like the one they call devil's trumpet, those that are like the datura, they take you down first, down. We're going there first. We're going to go deal with the darkness. And they take you deep, like, we're going there to the problem. Others aren't deliriants. Others are just like regular psychedelics, which just, they don't take you down, but they deepen you in, without putting you in that traumatic space. But it can be traumatic if you don't like the truth. These medicines, you must never take these medicines if you don't like the truth. If you don't like the truth, leave them alone. Just don't even start. Leave them alone. Or they'll really like traumatize you because you're going to be sitting there having to deal with seeing the truths that you've happened in your life. It doesn't sound about anyone else. It's about how we the perpetrator and how we the victim.
Yeah.
These truths, seeing the truth of how you're perpetrator and how you're victim. This is the thing that traumatizes a person, when they can see that I actually am not always the victim, I'm actually a person that has also hurt other people and I haven't done anything about it. And that's why I say you don't play with these medicines if you don't like the truth. Especially the ones that are like deliriants, like the datura, the morning glory. the devil's trumpet, you just don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't
Mm.
do it. And then there's other medicines like we said, iboga, which is also like it works a bit like a little bit like a deodorant. Takes you in.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everyone is over 3 days. You go in, and everything must be, And then there's, like I said, the ayahuasca, which
Yeah.
is very, it goes deep. It goes deep. Just like the mushrooms, they go deep. They go deep. Go deep there to the truth. These medicines, as the Hunikui of the northwest of the Amazon, the Hunikui people, who live in the Kashinawa region of the rainforest,
Yeah.
they don't call it ayahuasca, they call it huni. And huni means truth,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. So these medicines take you to the truth. So does the mushroom, it takes you right there. And the thing about the mushroom, why people don't understand this, with mushrooms, it's not like ayahuasca. Why? Because ayahuasca's got concentrated drink.
Yeah.
Mushrooms is like, holding a gram, and you're holding a gram to gram. When you got a drink of ayahuasca, you don't know how many grams or kilograms of medicine was cooked into a concentrated 2 liter. You just think
Yeah.
about it. And it's strong because obviously it's a concentrate. Mushroom is different. It's just that mushroom. That 1 gram is 1 gram. 2 grams is two
Yeah.
grams. 3 grams. So many people are like, no, mushrooms are weak and ayahuasca is strong. No, it's like you have to understand the preparations are different. You can do the same thing with mushrooms and cook them into a strong tea. Cook like 100 grams of mushrooms into a tea. Yeah, and then have a shot will blast you. You know. So it's about understanding the dynamics of how do these medicines work. No, neither one is better than the other one. But you
Yeah.
have to understand how they work. And that these medicines are held under traditions when we're using them for healing. That there's specific people that have trained to work with these medicines, to take people through these processes. And the experience you have with someone that's trained, that has been doing that does this work as their way of life, it's completely different to when you do it on your own.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's a different story. It's like I remember when I had done ayahuasca, for the first time, the first few times, then I finally did it with Banye, completely, completely different experience. And that's why I say with these medicines, go and find the correct practitioner. Make sure when
Yeah.
you build a relationship with yourself, one where you can face yourself and be honest with yourself. Make sure that when you're going to do these medicines, that you've built a relationship with your ancestors and you're not afraid of your ancestors. That you're willing to start working with them, to work through the intergenerational trauma that you come to heal when you're using these medicines. Because these medicines heal the psyche, they heal the emotions, but not only for ourselves, but for our ancestors too. Because when we heal, they heal too. So it's a lot of intergenerational work. You're bridging time and space. So that's why I say things from the past, like 1,000 generations can come up, and you can see them and how you are that thing that happened 100 years ago, 200 years
Yeah.
ago. And I really say it, especially to African children, that African children really need to start using these medicines because we need to start healing, from the mess of colonialism that we've gone through.
Yeah.
Really, and yeah, also everyone else, even the person who was the colonizer, needs to start using the medicine, so they can also forgive and heal and see what they've been doing, and its effect on future generations themselves. They also need to heal. We all need to heal, but I really want African children to start getting into this work, because they're carrying so much, and still, it's not like I can say it's done now. We are in the clear. We're no longer in the space of colonialism. We've got neo-colonialism happening. People are still living under those conditions and are feeling the effects of it. And people need to be able to break free. They need to liberate their minds and hearts so they can live here as they're intended to be, as nature intended them to be. So Yeah, it's about time that we started working with these medicines, but we have to make sure if we're going to work with these medicines that we know why we're working with these medicines, that we find people that actually know what they're doing. Again, these medicines are entheogens. We call it ispili.
Speed, yeah.
Yeah, ispili. It's a mirror. You're mirroring yourself back to yourself. You're looking at a mirror of yourself. That's why we call it ispili or isbug. But
So
these are very important to him. Yeah.
here's a question that I have, right? How did our ancestors use speed, Because clearly it's changed nowadays. You keep mentioning that it's abused and not really used with its true intent. So how did our ancestors, were there specific people that were only allowed to use them, or what was their way in antiquity of working with these entheogens?
So, like I was just saying, our ancestors have been working with him, but obviously, again, like I said, it was held by the practitioners of the medicine, the person who would have gone and learned about this medicine, or would have received it in their dreams to listen to this medicine. Then they start working with. So it was medicine that were held not by elders, and medicine that was held a lot by healers, even though it's available everywhere. For example, there's many mushrooms where, especially in the homelands, you notice, you'll see there's mushrooms everywhere. And then
Yeah.
if you don't know, you'll say, hey, it's so long, man, what's up, Pamela? You know, don't eat that, you're gonna go mad. So it
You're
was
gonna
common
go
knowledge.
mad.
There's common knowledge for people to know that this is an Indian, that is an Indian, that is an. But they know that now, this, when you want to eat this, you need to make sure you go there and go speak to that person. So that person can watch you when you eat your things, you know. And that's what I'll say. Our ancestors were responsible. But our ancestors also were people that were growing up in the nature. They lived in the nature, in the bush, eating all the different herbs and different foods and different fruits, vegetables. They really knew a lot. It wasn't a thing of herbs are only known by the healers. But like I say, the process of doing certain ceremonies like this would be one way it's held by an elder or by a healer because of the stage you're going to go into. So there was a medicine that was respected, but also there was medicine that people recognize that, we can use them. I don't have to know how to do them, but I can use it. People are much stronger than they are now. And many people learned the hard way that now you need to go with them before you play this game. Yeah.
So this is really interesting. So how would one prep to work with these medicines? Because you mentioned a lot around the truth, and it brings out a whole lot of the dark side within yourself. If, say, for instance, I've never taken this medicine before and I'd love to take it, but I'm kind of lost and I'm scared of myself and my darkness within. So how would I prep to begin this journey?
So I'd say firstly, if you're going to want to prep, you have to detox properly. Make sure your body is clean, so your body can actually hold the energy that you're going to be going into. And like I said, you have to set your intentions. You have to make sure you're building a relationship with yourself. You've built a relationship with yourself, where you can be honest, and be responsible for your feelings and accountable for your actions, and your decisions in life. If you can be accountable and responsible for your decisions in life, you'll be fine. And you can do the truth, you'll be fine. You just have to detox properly. Take a week or two of cleansing the body properly. Eating the correct diet before you getting into it, doing the adequate days of fasting and getting the body and mind, spirit
Yeah.
ready. Like I said, you set your intention, but you speak with your ancestors because they're the ones that are going to be bringing a lot of information forward because they have to unpack to you why you're the way you are. What is actually happening? How did you become like this? How did we contribute to you being like this? So this is why I say you have to want to really build that connection and relationship with your ancestors before you just jump in. Make sure you like this with your ancestors, because if you like this with them, in there they're going to be trying to tell you things, and you're going to be fighting with them, and tell you you're going to be fighting. So it's going to be a back and forth. You just fight, and then you get out of there upset, very upset with yourself, upset with them, upset with the truth. No accountability. All now you know is what was there, and you know how you dealt with it. You didn't want to deal with it. And
Yeah.
now you can't unknow the fact that you know who had yet to deal with it, you didn't want to deal with it. And it's no one's fault but your own, because you don't want to deal with
Yeah.
it. So that can also be traumatic. The trauma of knowing that you don't want to deal with something, but you have to deal with something because you know that this is a problem and it's causing problems.
Yeah.
And it's really flames. It can really show you flames.
The strange thing is you keep mentioning like building a good relationship with your ancestors and all these things. And there's some people that might be watching right now that don't know where to start or how to start. So I want to try out, I want to do this deep work of cleansing and healing myself and healing intergenerational trauma and all these great things that you've mentioned. But I have no idea how to build a relationship with my ancestors. What would you recommend one does to solidify that so that we can move forward?
So when we say, so first thing you start doing is just pray. And when you pray, call them in to pray with you. Let's start with the basic thing. When I pray, I'm not going to pray alone. I'm going to call my ancestors in with me to come and be with me. And we pray together. I'm going to have a conversation with them. And when I conversate with them, I'm going to pay attention to my dreams. Let's just do basic things. Not like, now we have to, basic things. Let me honor my ancestors by creating a family tree and actually wanting to know who was alive and where did we stay. Let me go and take the journey of finding out history. Because you see, when you start doing that, you're showing that no, actually, you guys are worth it. And I do want to know about you guys. And I do want to know how you guys have contributed. And I want to know where you guys were, who you guys are. You're actually now engaging. So to build a relationship with your ancestors, to engage your ancestors in a variety of different ways. Like in Africa, we don't pray to our ancestors, we pray with our ancestors to God. So if we are afraid of like working with our ancestors, because we're confusing God with our ancestors, it's problems with us. It's not with them, it's not with God, it's with ourselves. Now, way that we need to change our perspective. But like I said, engage. First thing is engagement. Go to your great home, Kaya Kul, where your grandmothers or grandfathers grew up. Go to your homes. If your home is in Kumbu, that's where the great home where your grandfather's grown up, but you've grown up your whole life in, let's say, Fort Loras, and you've never been to Kumbu.
Yeah.
Just go to Kumbu and go Nyatela and just see how that will change things. Just pay attention to your dreams when you get to Kumbu. Then you're like, wow, these dreams, they came and big and this old lady and this old man I've never seen before. And that's what I'm saying, like, it's about going in and actually having the experience, then just stepping back and being like, these guys just don't come. But you don't even engage them. No, they don't come. They never listen. But you're not even engaging them. Hi.
Yeah.
They know where to find you. Like, they know where to find. Now, also, your blood connects you with your ancestors. They'll always be able to find you because you have blood. They'll always be able to find you, because before you came here into this body, you had to be negotiated into a lineage. And that lineage knows that you're here. They send you off on the other side, and this side you receive by members of the lineage. Just like when you die, you're sent off by people on the side of your lineage, and you receive by people on the other side of your lineage.
Yeah.
Like always a closed group. And that's why I say a person just needs to engage, and taste them and be observant.
And perhaps one of the greatest things I learned is to keep a dream journal. Because when you have a dream journal,
Exactly.
record your dreams. And it's interesting, you'll start to see the different patterns that are happening consistently. So prayer is always great. There's various ways that you can do that as well. I mean, not all of us pray the same. Some of us meditate. I like to think of meditation and silence and going within as a form of prayer itself. So there's various ways which you can do that. And it's such a beautiful process once you start diving in and unpacking some of these issues. But one of the main things that I wanted to talk to you about, that you mentioned this in quite a bit, is intergenerational trauma. We won't go too deep into it, but how does one sort of identify that? And how does intergenerational trauma show up in one's life?
Pardon?
How does intergenerational trauma show up in one's life?
Ah, it shows up as trauma. Finish and clear. All the way that you keep getting traumatized, we keep traumatizing yourself, we keep traumatizing it. That's that behavior. Then when they say unesnax behavior. Oh, yeah, that is there. Why is that happening to you when there's so many people in the world? Why you? You know, why you? So it only shows up in the way we behave and in the way the world behaves towards us. You know, so to find out what is that intergenerational trauma, just look at how you're traumatized, you know, and how you traumatize other people. You know, it shows up in many, many ways. It's like being cold and harsh can be a result of intergenerational trauma. Being disunited from your family and not wanting to unite with your family and unite your family. It's another form of intergenerational trauma. You know, being short-tempered and always angry. It's another form of intergenerational trauma. You know, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, you know, verbal abuse, you know, all of these are forms of intergenerational trauma. It started somewhere and it wasn't resolved. And now it keeps going from one generation to the next generation until someone's going to be like, okay, okay, I've watched everyone in the family. I looked at my mother, I looked at my grandmother, and I saw that this one pattern is coming down, and now it wants to come here to me. No, I'm going to do things differently. And that's the only time when you decide to do things differently, to heal the thing instead of allowing the thing to play out, you know, and create a new way of doing things. You know, so that's why I say it's not one specific way it shows up in every single way. You know, every single way that it needs to get your attention because it's a thing that needs to be resolved. That's why it will work so hard to show up in your life in so many different ways. Show up in your life by you being a perpetrator, showing up in your life by you being the victim of it. You know, because it's something that is in the family that needs healing.
It's fascinating nowadays. We deal a lot with issues like depression and anxiety and all these sorts of things, which are partially part of that intergenerational trauma at times because we've gone through a lot as people and our family always does the best that they can to sort of do better. And it's passed down from generation to generation. So when I have kids, I behave in a certain way and that I pass that down to my kids. And so it's a cycle that continues until one individual decides to break that entire cycle. And what's fascinating is when you start to do the work, you realize that once you stop the pattern, you start to heal all of those who came before you as well. You know, it's such a beautiful process when you actually start taking ownership and standing fully in your power. You know, we can break so many cycles if we learn to be more observant around how does my family behave? You know, what are the things that they do? Communication perhaps is an issue, or frustration or depression even, you know. Because sometimes we have all of these sicknesses that are passed down to us from generation to generation. And we have to take the right action steps and step back into our power and heal the various lineages before, you know. And the best part is entheogens for me have been absolutely incredible at assisting in that, you know, because they force you to deal with you. You can't run. It's like you sit there in that space and you have to deal with all of your stuff that you can. And we suppress until one day we have to deal with it, you know. So the sooner it is that we break cycles, the better it is for future generations and for previous generations as well, just to kill off this intergenerational trauma and create a new powerful pattern, you know, that is conducive for you and your kids and your kids' kids.
Great. 100%. You know, so I'll say, you know, this is exactly what we need to start working on. You know, this is exactly what we need to be doing, all of us, you know, so we can have peace in our lives. Not tolerance, peace.
Peace.
But like, you know, this is so good that we had these chats because we're doing this also like just to let them, our viewers watching know that we're also doing this because we're going to be holding a whole lot of ceremonies like this. a whole lot of ceremonies like this and retreats that are like this, where we're going to be going out to sacred sites and we're going to be holding these programs, so it's
Yeah,
very,
absolutely. I think
such a
that's a good question. Let's take a couple of questions, shall we? I mean, that's a really good question because there's been several times it comes up where we pray with our ancestors. So, how's about we just will you lead us in a prayer with our ancestors just to show what it's like?
okay, just let me
Mkhulu.
see. No, I'm just reading. So,
Just pray with us.
yeah,
Let's invoke
pray
them
with
and
us. So it's like
let's
simply,
pray with our ancestors right now and just bring them all in and see what happens. Lead us in that, Mkhulu.
so I'll lead us in that. You know. So we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks, give thanks. I invite my ancestors from my mother's side. I invite my ancestors from my father's side. I invite my ancestors from all the spaces in nature. Those that lived in the mountains, those that lived in the forests, those that lived in the rivers, those that whose empires sunk and are now underneath the sea. Those who lived around caves, those that lived in valleys. I ask that you come and be with us and pray with us. We thank you for all that you've given, for all that you've shared, for all the care and all the love that you share. We ask that you be with us as we do and as we receive. We ask that you be with us and guide us where we don't know so we can know. We ask that you open up our hearts and help us have understanding of each other. I want to understand you as my ancestor, and I want you to understand me as your child. I ask that you help me find my way and you help us find our way back to God, because from God we all came. I ask with love, I ask with peace, I ask with joy.
Oh, wow. Oh, we give thanks, Mkhulu. We give thanks. So
Mhm.
it sounds like an invocation of all of these wonderful spirits and it's bringing them closer, you know. And I like the different aspects of the different spaces that we invoke our ancestors from, you know, the mountains, the caves, because we have so much lived experiences in our DNA, you know. We have cavemen that lived at some point. We have those that lived in the forest. We have those that lives in the mountains and in the oceans, whatever it is that fed from that space, you know. So we invoke all of them just to be with us and ask for guidance. It's such a beautiful prayer. That's praying with together. It's a relationship kind of a thing, you know. And we send our prayers up to God, you know, collectively.
Shut up, Benson. Marcos. So let's see if we have any more questions. So we can see if we can then close up some more corrections.
Yeah. If anyone's got any other questions. But in the meantime, I just wanted us to talk a little bit about what we're planning to do. You know, we've got this incredible retreat that we're working on at the end of April, where we'll be doing some of these things and we will be working with some of the entheogens. And it's going to be all the way in Mpumalanga, in the Sidwala Caves, which is absolutely amazing. We've got access to this incredible space, which is an ancient rebirthing site. Mkhulu will tell you more about that, but it's going to be an incredible experience for 4 days where we'll be taking some African plant medicines, you know. We've got a sweat lodge that's going to be happening. We've got incredible nature hikes. We've got an incredible experience within the caves itself where we'll be doing ceremonies, which is one of the most ancient African rebirthing sites. And it's going to be such a powerful, powerful immersive experience. And so if you're really looking to deal with intergenerational trauma and just to find clarity and vision and to heal ancestral lineages, I think this would be a wonderful opportunity for you to be able to join us in that experience. You know, it's going to be on the 31st of April until the 2nd of May. But yeah, it's going to be a powerful, immersive experience.
Ciao, bless. Ciao, bless. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, so we'll start getting information out there in a bit. We'll do more of these sessions where we really talk and sort of unpack some of these issues, because our greatest desire is to be of service And I think that this is a powerful way to be of service. Powerful way to be of service where we immerse, as Mkhulu was saying, with practitioners like myself and himself to be able to work with these entheogens and this medicine, African plant medicine that will help you to clear out all of this trauma. But you have to be ready, like he says, it's not child's play. We go deep, we go very deep.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. But if there aren't any more questions, let's see. Oh, thanks. It's always good to listen to you.
YouTube channel, Mkhulu, YouTube channel.
Well, it's all in the works, you know. It's just this is one of the first of many, like I said. I'm quite passionate about sacred spaces and doing the work. Okay, Mkhulu, it doesn't seem like we have any more questions.
Alrighty.
Let's close now. See, as we call them in, we may as well close, you know. Will you close us? All right. We give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks. We give thanks for this powerful time that we've had together, being able to share the wisdom and the knowledge that belongs to Great Source, to the ancestors who are with us, to each and every single individual who joined us today. We give thanks. We honor you on your journey and on your path. We ask and pray that you find fulfillment, you heal intergenerational trauma, you heal the patterns in your life that are no longer working. We pray that your ancestors will, from tonight onwards, walk beside you. May you learn to listen with greater clarity. May you learn to walk with greater vision. May you learn to live in purpose, because we are all here to make a difference in people's lives, in whatever way, big or small. We pray for your families. We pray for the courage and the wisdom for you to step up and do the right thing. Do the right thing and shift generational patterns, heal ancestral lineages. We give thanks for your consistency and allowing yourself to listen to that inner voice that leads you to the space right here and right now. We give thanks to all of the ancestors that are with us as we speak, and we ask that you continue to work with us, for us, in us, through us, and all around us. We give thanks to God, who is the ultimate. We ask that you continue to bless us in abundance in all that we do. We give thanks. Kamako, Ashe.
Makos.
Makos.
All right.
Oh, sorry, there's just one. No, so we're going to be doing a lot of these and we're going to be posting some info around it. So check out our Instagrams and stuff like that. We've got a couple of design posters that we're going to put out in the next couple of... So we'll be doing a series of these chats and we'll be putting out posters and all these things as well so that you can get more information, you know. But stay tuned. I mean, it's quite exciting for us as well because it's such a powerful space. Dwala Caves, wow. Oh man, see, there's more people joining as we're going.
We're getting people, but at least like the videos to watch it.
Yeah, you can watch the video, but we give thanks. We give thanks, guys. Mkhulu, as always, what a